Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive in the left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
at the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova. Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. My God did it, man. I really just had
Gonna have to. Brunson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Oh, man. I wanted that one bad. Also, I had to change the beginning of this intro. Probably should have changed it before last show, the Yankees episode. But we changed it. Wearing my Yankees hat because I'm a proud Yankees fan. We've got guys who want to be on the team. No, welcome. If you haven't checked out that episode, I did one yesterday. Just briefly. We're talking Knicks in this episode. And I wanted that win last night so bad. I always like to beat former Knicks. It feels amazing to do it. I've never been I shouldn't say I'd never, but, towards the end, I wasn't the biggest RJ fan. It just started bothering me. I just always like to be former Knicks. It's kind of a we're better than you, we're better off type of thing. Because I'm an asshole. And the way it ended, too. RJ, after a big night, gets bitched. And that was the icing on the cake for me. The block. But yeah, man, the Knicks are starting to find it. They started the season 5-6 through their first 11 games. It's a .455 win percentage. Since then, they've gone 10-3 across 13 games. That's a .770 win percentage. I did not record an episode during the Detroit game. So, that was just didn't have time. I didn't have the energy. The Knicks lost that by 9. Mikal and Precious were the two best performers, in my opinion, from both units. But this game specifically, this was another game where against the who the hell did they play last night? Raptors. Just talked about that. I'm like losing it this morning. I don't know what's going on. But against the Raptors last night, it was another game, this was in Toronto, where it felt bad. It just had that low urgency. The Knicks had a low urgency look to them. Like they were slow on both ends in the start of this game. In the past, maybe they lose these types of games. But they found it in the end. The second half comes, the Knicks D up late. They knock down some timely baskets, some threes, Mikal, Hart, OG, Cat. The defense was good. The shot making was there at the end. And the Knicks win 113-108. Towns finishes with 24, 15, and 6. Brunson finishes with 20 and 11. Mikal finishes with 23 on 5 3-pointers made. OG finishes with 14 points, and he has 5 more stocks. But there are a lot of specific moments that I want to get to in this episode, and mostly good ones. But to start with the bad, the Knicks, again, they were very lethargic early on. On both ends, but especially on the end of the floor where you need energy. And they had me, if they were to lose this game, ready to come on and say some very disturbing things, some very overreactive things. I would have started talking about how we're 24 games in. This defense is just never going to figure it out, because they had a lot of miscommunication and they were just totally lacking cohesion for a good portion of this game, for the first half and change. Poor rotations, Toronto was forcing a ton of mismatches. The Knicks were getting killed in transition. In the half court, they were getting destroyed on back cuts. I mean, the amount of back cuts that they let go right through. In the first quarter, Brunson gets caught ball washing weak side, and so Walter finishes with a cutting layup behind him. Second door on an Obi's caught on a screen in what I think was a wheel action, ends up being an alley-oop to RJ Barrett. Third quarter even, Josh Hart's ball watching on a give and go, and Mobo gets the cutting layup. Fourth quarter, Precious gets caught on a weak side screen. Grady Dick gets the back cut for a layup. And the Knicks got lucky a few times too last night where they were beat on a cut and Toronto just couldn't execute. I thought there were many times where their help defense was poor in the first half, leading to open three-point attempts. The point of attack defense was lacking, dying on screens. Mikhail had some rough moments again. But just an overall lethargic energy to start this game. The offensive rebounds, the second chance points, the Knicks they weren't boxing, and Toronto finishes with 17 offensive rebounds, 15 of them in the first three quarters. And again, they were getting killed in transition too. The urgency level just wasn't there. When the Knicks would miss a three, when the Knicks would turn it over, it would turn into an easy look for Toronto because the Knicks weren't getting back. At the end of the day, they figured it out. And you look up, and I don't know how, but the Knicks only allowed 108 points. Their defensive rating for this game was 110. So doing that on the road, against a tough home team of late, Toronto's always good at home, you'll take it. In the second half, the Knicks, although there was some inconsistency at times, held the Raptors to just 47 points, and they forced 9 turnovers. And that's what really started to impress me was you could see, especially from the Knick wings and their bigs, how great their defense was. Brunson's still getting targeted and hunted on those pick and rolls lately, but I really like the defense from the wings and the bigs. The first possession of the second half for Toronto, a bunch of their wings are cutting off Jakob Poeltl, and I thought Hart and Bridges were doing an excellent job navigating screens and staying connected. And then eventually OG closes to RJ Barrett to force the miss. Late in the third quarter, Toronto, I think they run some type of Spain or some stack action where the back screener comes up. But, what happens is Towns picks up Josh Hart, who was beat off the drive, and he switches onto Mobo to force the miss at the basket. And then you get a couple of possessions there, a few of them at the end of the third quarter with a minute left. Precious switches pick and roll onto Walter. He contests it well to force the mid-range miss. That stood out to me. Doing a nice job guarding smalls. He's always been a switchable big. 30 seconds left in the third quarter. I've got down here that Mikhail was beat on a cut from Grady Dick, but it's Precious who makes a weak side rotation to block the shot, picking him up. And then with 6 seconds left in the third quarter, Precious kind of closes a little too aggressively to Kelly Olynyk, but he stays in front and he ends up blocking his shot. And then a number of good fourth quarter sequences early in the period. Towns has a couple of nice contests, both on the perimeter and at the basket. Middle of the fourth quarter, you get OG Anunoby with just an absolutely absurd steal in the corner when he's closing to Walter. he finds a way to poke the ball loose, stay in bound, and get the Knicks in transition. You're not going to see many wings do something like that. Not long after that, Towns blocks RJ's left-handed layup going right. And then late in the fourth quarter, Anunoby with a couple of nice hustle plays. One of them where he stunts and recovers. He stunts to Agbaji, recovers to RJ in the strong side corner. That led to a stop. And then, of course, you get the play of the game at the very end there when Towns meets RJ at the basket because everybody and their mother knows RJ's going to go left. And credit to Tibbs for knowing RJ's tendencies. And then OG ends up picking up the block, right? And good job on Tibbs there by subbing Brunson out. Whenever Brunson's off the floor, it's going to give the Knicks more switchability. They're able to switch everything because there's no pick and roll target there. But that helped lead to a big block on RJ Barrett out of the ATO with Towns slowing him down by playing in drop and then eventually walling RJ up and OG coming from behind to block the shot. And also a good job by the Knicks help defenders on the perimeter. Deuce and Bridges staying home on the corners to prevent the driving kick off the dribble drive. So I thought the defense really started to execute late, and that's going to be my primary takeaway. Is that hopefully they're starting to come together a little bit. Their last 8 games, the Knicks are 10th in defensive rating. That was since the Denver game. And overall on the season, they're up to 18th in defensive rating, which doesn't sound good. But remember, at one point, they were consistently sitting around 23rd, 24th. And now you look up and they're just a half point per 100 possessions off of league average. Detroit, I believe, is 15th right now. So they're right there. And that's the goal. Get to league average, build from there. Build. So they're starting to look a little bit better. Towns has been defending at the basket a lot better recently. He's getting better and better there, especially in this game. And that's one of your 2 keys. Your 2 keys defensively, in my opinion, Towns and Bridges. Your point of attack defender and your screener defender, right? And especially the point of attack, because for most of the season, Mikal Bridges has struggled fighting over the top. And if the Knicks are getting beat at the point of attack, then they need to send help off the corners because Towns is your last line of defense. Not Hartenstein, not Robinson. And if you send help off the corners and they make the kick out, well, now you're scrambling in rotation, and that's going to lead to some wide open 3-point attempts, which has been an issue all season long. So if the Knicks are able to execute that scheme properly, fine. That's fine. Like if they're helping on the initial drive and they're rotating off the help, that's good. But for most of the season, they've had difficulties executing that scheme. And that's going to be something that they're going to have to figure out if they want to be a legitimate contender. Because right now, they're not a championship contender, and I'll remain to say that. I will keep that opinion until I see it. But it has gotten better. It's gotten better over the last several weeks. So that's a promise. And then you go... excuse me. I had a sneeze, but I never did. No, it's not coming. I hate when that happens. And then you go to the other side of the floor, and, the Knicks continue to facilitate, just doing things to make life easier. And it's funny because this offense, for most of the game, much like the defense, it felt poor. Like it felt slow and lethargic. Yet you look up and they shoot 51%. They were 43% on their threes, knocking down 17 of them. They had 32 assists, which gave them a 76% assist rate. Their entire starting 5 was in double figures. 3 of them had 20 plus. And it's all because of the little things. So even when it doesn't look pretty, the Knicks are able to generate offense because they execute the little things very well. ball movement, cutting, shooting, screening. That all remains key to this Knicks offense in the half court. Making life easier. Last year, you watched this offense, and they were top 5. But they had to work so hard to generate offense. The eye test was ugly, right? It was never pretty. Brunson had to do so much. They had to crash the boards. Their offense was based off of second chance opportunities. But this year, it's much more smooth and it's well oiled. They have a system that they're able to run properly. And last night, you got a lot of staggers and horns out and motion strong. You had some good pick and roll. Just guys are executing the little things to a T on a night-to-night basis. I don't know how to put it into better wording. I wish I did, but that's the best way I could put it. You know, Precious Achiuwa, great screening last night from him. Hard screening to create separation and get momentum with the guards coming off, going downhill. He was slipping the screen to prevent the opposing big from leveling. Did that a couple times where I really liked what I saw. Bridges with some excellent, continuing to really look good off the ball, cutting and relocating, which has led to a number of baskets out at the basket. So just overall, a really nice job. The Knicks continue to make this part of their identity offensively, where they're facilitating and they're still keeping the ball in their hands. They're keeping the turnover rate low and the assist rate high. And I hate to say that's like a product of not having Julius out there, but what were Julius's 2 biggest problems offensively? You know, that. So it's been a smart offense, and it's all leading to timely shot making. You know, the amount of timely baskets the Knicks got last night was huge. Josh Hart with a 3-pointer late in the game, right? Middle of the fourth quarter, the Knicks are down 1. Hart relocates to the corner, knocks down a 3 to give the Knicks the lead. Towns had 2 big baskets down the stretch, right? He has the layup with 40 seconds left. Tough finish. And then he has the 3-pointer, obviously, to ice the game with 6 seconds left. You know, RJ's kind of bringing gap help. Brunson makes that read, kicks to Towns, knocks it down. Mikal Bridges, talk about big-time shot making throughout the entire second half, the fourth quarter especially, but knocking down those corners, right? Late third quarter, the Knicks are down 4 points. That's where it started. He knocks down a weak side corner 3 to put the Knicks up 84-83, or within 1. Early fourth quarter, the Knicks are down 3. He slips to the wing for a catch-and-shoot 3, ties the game. 4 minutes later, the Knicks are down 1 point. He sneaks to the corner around RJ, gets another catch-and-shoot 3. The Knicks are up 2. 1 minute and 40 left, down 1. You get the Brunson Cat pick and pop. Cat doesn't shoot it, mid shot. He swings to Mikal in the strong side corner. Mikal knocks it down, puts the Knicks up 2. So that's good to see. You know, Mikal Bridges 5 for 8 from 3 last night, en route to 23 points. And it's just it's the facilitating. Towns continuing to be a great facilitating big. He's an excellent hub passer, and he's a couple of times last night showing an uncanny ability to pass out of shots and just continuously making timely reads on the defense. You know, you had this swing to Mikal late, but he had a bunch of opportunities where he generated offense moving the ball. You know, top of the first quarter, he finds OG off of a give and go on a 45 cut. The next possession, he surveys the defense with his guards cutting around him, and he eventually finds Mikal Bridges. Middle of the second quarter, he finds OG off of a post touch on the baseline. OG makes a baseline cut. That was out of ATO offense. Early fourth quarter, he has the transition outlet pass to Deuce McBride. And then late fourth quarter, again, he has him and Brunson run DHO. Leads to a basket for Brunson. So, and Brunson continues to I mean, he had 11 more assists last night. His playmaking continues to be strong. Did he make some mistakes last night? It wasn't a perfect game for Jalen. Tough second quarter, made a couple of bad reads in this game. He was hunted defensively a little bit, missed some free throws there at the end of the second quarter. But as a playmaker, he's continuing to get it done, and it's because of his gravity. He demands so much gravity when he comes off pick and roll, and he's getting downhill. That opens up his teammates. And you saw a perfect example of that last night with 40 seconds left in the game, where Tibbs runs a genius ATO set, and it eventually ends up Brunson assisting to Towns because Brunson draws attention. Toronto double teams the point of attack off DHO. So now Brunson's got 2 on him. That leaves Cat open on the roll. Brunson eventually makes the pocket pass to Cat, and then Cat finishes to break the tie. That was the biggest point of the game offensively to me, was that layup before the 3, where they put 2 on the pick and roll there to open up the roll for Cat. It's, again, the cutting, the passing, the screening, all of it together has created this 5-headed monster, let's be honest. So the Knicks produce great offense on a night where they weren't great offensively, if that makes sense. So we're going to hand out game balls when we return from break here. So stay with us, and we'll do that in just 1 sec. We'll be right back here on episode 757 of the podcast. Thanks for tuning in to BD4. Be right back. BD4 is available on social media for those who want to follow. You can find BD4 on Instagram at BD4Pod. You can find us on X at BD4Pod. And you can find us on Facebook by simply searching BD4. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, this podcast is also available in video format on YouTube. So be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, BD4, subscribe, like the videos, comment, and tell me how much I suck or maybe how much you like the video. We'd very much appreciate it. Don't have time to sit down and watch a video? You can listen to BD4 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And you can also watch the video format on Spotify too. If you feel like supporting the podcast, you can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. We really appreciate your support. All right, welcome back to the show, episode 757 of BD4. I appreciate you all tuning into the show. Yeah, let's hand out our game balls, and we'll start with the starting unit. I thought Karl Anthony Towns was the best Knick on the floor last night, arguably, but I thought he was dominant, especially towards the end. And he hit the game-clinching shot, a couple of them, big shots. 24 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He shoots 7 for 13, goes 2 for 5 from 3, 8 for 10 from the foul line. He was a plus 10 and did so in 36 minutes. He continues to... we talked about him just a second ago, so I'm not going to dive into anything specific anymore, but he continues to dominate. And you're looking up, and he now has 6 game balls on the year. And on the season, he is averaging, if I can pull that up, averaging across 22 games this year, 25 points, 13 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 53%, 45%, 85%. And that's on a plus 7 across 34 minutes per game. He's been exceptional for this Knicks team offensively, and he's starting to pick it up on the other end as well. So Karl Anthony Towns, Gets his 6th game ball across 22 games where he's played this season. This was his first game returning from the injury. Was hobbling a lot in that second half, so I hope he's good to go tomorrow. But good for Towns. And then you go to the bench. I thought Deuce McBride was solid. 8 points for Deuce last night, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. Shot 3 for 6 from the floor, 2 for 4 from 3. He was a +8 in 26 minutes. Again, it's always his shot making, man. The big time 3-pointers that he knocks down because of his high release point, because of the lift that he gets on his jumpers. He's able to beat a closeout, and he's continuously providing good point of attack defense. It's the same storyline every time we talk about Deuce because he consistently does it. And he now continues to lead the Knicks team in game balls. He's got 14 game balls this season, Deuce does. And this is a guy who's missed time, too, this year. Continues to do his damn thing. So on the year, Deuce McBride through 19 games has 14 game balls. Part of that is because the second unit's very short, but he's doing his thing. 11 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 46%, 43%, 88%. And he's doing it on a +5 across 26 minutes per game. So awesome to see Deuce McBride continue to develop. And now you look forward, and your New York Knicks have the Atlanta Hawks coming up next. This is a game at the Garden. It is obviously the NBA Cup quarterfinal knockout game. So the Knicks would like to win this to advance to the semis and get to Vegas. It's a 7 p.m. game. I expect the Knicks to beat this Hawks team. They should. The Hawks are a very, very mediocre team as they continue to be under Trae Young, fake superstar. But, you got to give the Hawks a little credit. They are 3-1 in Cup play. The Knicks went 4-0. Where they beat teams like the Celtics and the Cavs. They beat both of those squads in Cup play. So, good for them. They also beat the Knicks, right? The last time they played was in Atlanta. The Knicks lost to them. But this is a Knicks team that still owns the Hawks, and I expect them to do nothing but win tomorrow night. They need to win. They need to continue to beat these teams if they want any chance of getting a top seed this year. Top 4 seed, which I think is where they should land if they continue to improve defensively. So with that said, I think that's all we have for this episode. I think we touched on everything. So what we're going to do is head to our final break, and then when we return from break, we will get to our parlay from last night, and then we'll get to our trivia to wrap it all up. Stay with us here on episode 757 of the podcast. We'll be back in a sec. Do you enjoy Yankees baseball but are tired of hearing me yap? I have a suggestion for you. Go check out Yankee Crazy Podcast. Greg Gill is a Yankees podcaster on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and he's now selling merch. Go to yankeecrazy.myshopify.com. Stay connected with us. Visit BD4blog.com to explore our blog, tune in to our latest podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thank you for being a part of this community. All right, welcome back to episode 757 of the podcast. Let's get to our parlay. Welcome to RJ's Parlay, where my degenerate self breaks down tonight's big parlay. Last night's. If I miss, it's not surprising. If I hit, I'll probably lose it all the next night, because that's how this works. Welcome to RJ's Parlay. Last night's parlay, we had one just on this Knicks game. It was a 4-pick same-game parlay at plus 618. Thought I was going to get it. I did not. I did not execute this parlay. I had the Knicks at minus 3.5, which hit, just hit. So that was good. I did not hit it because, well, let's go over the two that I did hit. The Knicks minus 3.5, the spread. And then I also hit Towns over 15.5 assists and rebounds. That also cashed. The two of the four that did not cash was the Knicks scoring over 120.5 total points and Brunson scoring at least 25 points. Those were the two that did not cash. Brunson finishes with 20 and the Knicks finished with, I think, 113. So we lose that one. So what are we, 1-1 now since bringing RJ's parlay back? All right. But that was our parlay from last night's game. And let's get to our trivia question of the night as well. So last night's trivia question, or this episode's trivia question, maybe a little tricky one. This might be more of a difficult one if you don't know the Knicks 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Our trivia question, what were Carmelo Anthony's final averages in points, rebounds, and assists at the end of the 2012-13 season? And this is rounding off. What were Carmelo Anthony's final averages in points, rebounds, and assists per game at the end of the 2012-13 season? All right, and you get a multiple choice here. All right, was it 28-6-4, 27-5-3, 29-7-3, or 26-8-2? All right. So is it 28-6-4, 27-5-3, 29-7-3, or 26-8-2? So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode in front of all two of our listeners. I do appreciate you all tuning in. So with that said, we will wrap this episode up right here. Episode 757 in the books. The Knicks clutch up late in Toronto to beat the Toronto Raptors. Now they head back home to play the Hawks, playing the Atlanta Hawks at the Garden. So we'll see how that goes. That's a cup quarterfinal game. Appreciate you all for tuning in as always, and I'll see you all in the next show. Thank you. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.